Andy, let's begin, of course, with Tiger. What was your analysis of what you saw in round number one?
Well, top of the morning to you, Z-Man. He played some good golf. I mean, he was very consistent, and that's been the problem basically with his game this year, that he's been able to get one thing going well but not get everything going. And he drove the ball well. He had 10 out of the 14 fairways. He hit 15 greens in regulation. He kept the ball in play. He only had to chip or pitch once, and that was the 10th hole, his very first hole. The other greens he missed, he putted the ball from the edge of the green. So he was consistent, and I think the biggest thing, the speed on his putts, particularly leg putting, was really good. And when you see Tiger struggle with his putters, when his speed is off, and it looked like he was locked in with his speed. So I think all in all, it was exactly the kind of round he needed to play on Thursday.
Tiger hasn't played well all season long, Andy. What about Augusta National makes him turn it on at any given moment?
Well, this is a facility and a golf course that you really have to understand how to play it, and it takes a little bit of time. And I think this is the one championship that you see a lot of the older players do well, where that's not the norm, because the knowledge and understanding where to miss. The 10th hole where Tiger missed the green on the left to a front right pin placement was exactly the only place you can miss that green. And I think that's the kind of knowledge that you have, and the fact that, the dude's won here 5 times. He drives in the gate, and he thinks he can play well here. And I think he'll have that same feeling for another 15 years.
Did the 3-hour rain delay help Tiger's game at all?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that he hadn't finished his warm-up, and he hadn't gone out and actually started. If you get the delay before you've actually started, then you can go back and push the reset button and go through all your, we're all creatures of doing the same thing, preparing for competition. And he was able to go back and go through his whole routine to start the morning, and I think that was fine.
Andy North, ESPN golf analyst, 2-time U.S. Open champion, joining us here on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Tiger this afternoon, he'll be teeing off. What will the weather conditions be like then?
Yeah, it's going to be very much like it was yesterday afternoon. It doesn't look like there's going to be very much rain. It doesn't look like there's going to be very much wind. And the fact that the golf course is going to be still really soft. The scoring is just ridiculous. I mean, if they made the cut right now, it would take 1 under par to make the cut. The scores, it's going to be, the first round will be a record scoring. He's going to have to go out and shoot 68 or better just to keep pace with what everybody else is doing.
Last thing for you here, Andy, the betting favorite, Bryson DeChambeau. And normally I always give credit to all of our writers at ESPN.com that do a great work covering golf. But Michael Bamberger, the noted golf writer, just wrote an incredible piece on DeChambeau in Sports Illustrated. If you are inside the mind of this guy, if you're a golf fan, I just implore you to go check it out. That's a free plug for that story. Just incredible, because he's one of the most fascinating people in all of golf. Yesterday, 2 under, despite that double bogey early in the round. What have you seen from him, especially for the casual fan that might just be getting acquainted with this Texan?
Well, in all reality, he didn't play very well yesterday. He made a mess of the 11th hole and ended up saving par. He made a mess of 13. It could have been worse. He didn't really have, his best, but yet I think what was really apparent is he just kept grinding along and he got to 2 over. He got a couple of birdies and got it back. Then he got it back. He stayed around even. Then he made a couple of birdies at the end of the day. I think overall he showed an awful lot of maturity and patience that we haven't necessarily seen out of Bryson.
There's no question. The one little nugget that I think a lot of golf historians and people that love the game like Andy and have watched for so long have said is the fact that yesterday DeChambeau in his 20s shot a 2 under. Larry Mize, who had one of the greatest Masters wins in the history of the tournament, also shot 2 under. And I think it's fair to say, Andy, that Mize might drive the ball just a little less further than Bryson. Is that fair?
Their averages were just about 90 yards difference. But that's the beauty of our game. Any age, the golf ball doesn't understand who's hitting it. So if you can figure out a way to get it around, that's a really big deal. And there's a lot of ways to play this game. And Bernard Langer has been 4 under par is low today. He made a bogey at the 3, but here's another guy that's 63 years old, former champion, understands how to play the golf course. It's amazing how the light goes on for the older guys once they show up at Augusta.
Oh, by the way, Paul Casey has a 2-shot lead, Andy,
Yeah, but,
after round one.
Not anymore. Not anymore. The guys are coming up fast and furious this morning.
Well, what should the casual fan know about him, though?
Okay, he's been around a long time. He's been a really good player. He's been a top 5, top 10 player in the year multiple times during his career. He's gained a little bit of distance. He's just a real solid player. I think he's had 4 or 5 top 6 finishes here at the Masters. So he knows what he's doing. He's not going to go away. But I think we're going to see record scoring this year throughout the week. I think that it might take 20 under par to win, and Case is at least a good way toward that starting out.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.